Although more people are killed each year by pets or insects, it's the great white shark that fills us with dread.
As I'm paddling out, a guy shoots past me and a couple other guys are behind him going, "Get out, get out, get out, there's a shark."
But what does science really know about how many great white sharks there are, how they behave, or where they move?
We actually don't know how populations of white sharks are doing around Australia. There's no common metric to count them or see how they're doing.
To look for answers, there's no better place to be than Hawk's Nest Beach, just north of Port Stephens in New South Wales.
This just happens to be prime juvenile white shark territory. We're in about 3 metres of water and we're in the surf zone. Every juvenile white shark in Australia may well visit this site. Why this site is so important is still a mystery to us.
So, with the utmost care and respect, we want to get up close and personal with as many great white sharks as we can.
Barry Bruce and his crack team of great white hunters have been working here for a couple of seasons now, and they've tagged 22 juvenile great white sharks. But it's no calm water exercise. They do it in heaving swells just inside the surf zone. They're cool, calm and collected as they look for the next one. I've got to tell you, I'm practically jumping out of my skin.
There are just 2 places in the whole of Eastern Australia where white sharks congregate. But this one is unique because the sharks are so accessible.
This is one of the few places in Australia, if not the only place that we know of, where we may be able to get a count of juvenile white sharks that will, over time, give us an idea of how their populations are tracking.
Yep, shark, hang on.
Once a shark is spotted, we track it while dodging the breakers. In the shallows, when there's a break between waves, the trick is to drop a tasty mullet on a barbless hook right in front of where the shark is heading.
Okay, go, 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 go! Let it out, let it out!
It's not a fight. What we're trying to do is get it tight enough so it's safe for us to handle it, but not too tight that it won't swim away happily. The sharks here, it's usually between 1 and 5 years old, depending on the size.
There's nothing about a great white shark, though, that is ever small. Even when they're born, they're up to 1.5 metres in length, and that's just a little bit shorter than I am.
Slow down, Chris. It's going to be a hard one, I think. He keeps his pecs right down, so he's giving a lot of resistance. Let's give it a go. Let go, let go, let go!
But this is the one that got away.
It's frustrating for us, of course. It's the fact it's the only one we've ever lost next to the boat.
There's no shortage of white sharks here. In fact, in just 3 weeks over the last 3 years, the team has seen 50.
Fortunately, these juvenile white sharks don't seem to take much notice of people. We've gone past people and there's been white sharks within 100 metres of them swimming away, thankfully. Going down south to the clubhouse.
Barry is always asked how many sharks there are, but it's not a question anyone can answer yet.
The key question need not be exactly how many sharks there are, but how their populations are going, how their populations are changing over time. Okay, cut the motors!
And until they tag them to figure out how far and where the sharks move during the year, they won't know how to count them. The sharks show no reaction when a tracking tag is bolted to the dorsal fin. It transmits data to satellites whenever the shark comes to the surface. Each one costs around $4,000. It informs the scientists about location, the depth the shark swims at, and the temperature of the water.
Tag, Kent.
We know the sharks that we tag here are highly mobile. We've tracked them as far north as Fraser Island in Queensland, as far south as Eastern Bass Strait and eastern Tasmania, and we've even had one go across the Tasman Sea to New Zealand, in the process diving to over 1,000 metres.
As well, an acoustic tag with batteries that last for 10 years is implanted inside the shark.
Very small incision, a couple of centimetres long, just down in the back of the belly area. And what we're going to do is insert an acoustic tag up underneath through that incision that Russ makes. Tag's going in. There we go, Russ is placing the tag. Off you go.
Bravo!
Well done.
Like an E-tag on a tollway, it sends a unique coded pulse that is picked up by underwater listening stations around Australia. The data is downloaded from the receivers when scientists retrieve them.
The sharks aren't always in the surf zone in this area. They seem to cycle between the surf zone and out to about the 100 to 140 metre depth contour, which is about 10 to 15 kilometres offshore.
Using the different tag technologies, they can figure out the proportion of time spent in the surf zone and scale that up to estimate the population size here and eventually around Australia. This landing is a challenge, as the shark has tangled itself up in the line. Time is of the essence if the shark is not to drown. The team works together like a Formula One pit crew. Once in the specially designed sling, the activity is frenetic, their concentration intense. The key is to keep the shark calm. An oxygen feed bubbles water over its gills as if it were swimming. It's back-breaking work. Doing sutures like this could not be more difficult. Then it's time to roll the shark over and fit the satellite tag.
It's an incredible experience to be this close to a wild great white shark. This is a female. She won't breed until she's about 18 years old, and at that stage, she could be up to 6 metres in length.
Although great white sharks have been protected in Australian waters since the 1990s, their populations are not yet safe.
Because they're so slow to replenish their numbers, white sharks that were born with the benefit of protection 10 years ago still haven't reached an adult breeding age.
Hopefully, motherhood is the future for this one. After just 10 minutes in the sling, she's on her way.
I think that was a win that time.
In the last few days that I've been with the research team, they've caught 8 great white sharks just along this stretch of beach. Now, that might sound frightening, especially for a popular swimming beach like this one. But the good news is, there's never been any shark attacks here.
It takes painstaking research like this to learn how humans and sharks can minimise the impacts we have on each other. As Barry is fond of saying, the sharks swim between the flags too.
Our best way to help white sharks is understanding the world from their perspective and use that information to protect the marine environment for sharks and protect the areas that we like to go to as well.